Hi there, welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be creating this hero section you can see on the screen with the animation also. So, I'll be using Gsap for the animation and Next.js for the framework, and a little bit of pure CSS. If you're interested, let's get started. First, you wanna open up your terminal and cd into documents or the folder you like to use for your project and run burn create next app at latest. You want to give your app a name. In my case, I'll name it Hero Animation, and say yes to the rest, and it's gonna install my packages. And when my packages are done installing, I want to cd into the name of my file and run code period to spin up my VS Code. When you open your VS Code, what you want to do is open up your terminal and install Gsap React, because you're going to be using this Gsap for this animation. And when you're done installing that, you can spin up your file and try to see it on the web. So I'm just going to do that now. And you have the default Next.js page. Let's go back into our VS Code and delete the file and create our own and start editing. So you want to delete everything in page.tsx and open a main tag where we'll be writing our own code. Then you want to start writing. You want to give it a class name of container py-6 mx-auto and space y to array 10. Okay. And we open a nav bar for our nav bar. Instead of our nav bar, give a class name of flex, item center, justify with swing. Sorry. Then you open it there. It's just gonna have a class name of flex, item center, gap of 12. It's just gonna have our logo. So there's a link in the description to get the asset where you see the logo SVG, the SVG for the icons, and the images if you want to use them. I'm just gonna put a comment to know where the navbar starts and ends, so I don't mix it up with other codes. You want to open another list, create an element, and remember to delete the default global CSS. So we have this on the page, we can preview it, and you can close your terminal, go back into the code. So you give it a class name of flex, item center, and gap of 6. Open your lists, create a span. I'm just gonna select both and give them a class name of either menu blank text. So I'll give the lists a class name also. And I also open up the global CSS file and write some CSS to transform the animation. It's just some basic transition. So when I hover over this, the top one will go up and the one at the bottom will come up. Well, there's a bug. I made a mistake in my 0.4 seconds, so you're just gonna have to change that and it should work just fine. Okay, now that we have that, we can just duplicate it, which I'm going to do now. We'll duplicate it into multiple files. Not multiple files, sorry. Into multiple places and just change the text. I'm going to do that now. Then we want to open another div, which is gonna contain our button, which you saw earlier on in the beginning of the video. I give an ID of Unreal CTA and a class name. I'll open 3 span. One is gonna contain the dot, which is gonna have a class name. Another is gonna contain the text. Then another is gonna contain the arrow SVG, which you can use any SVG you like. I'll give it a class name. I'll give this one also a class name. Give them an ID of Nat button, so I can easily name them. I can easily style them in CSS. So I open up my global CSS file and style them. Transition background. So when that is done, I'm gonna create another set of CSS which they will have to change to when I hover on the button, which I'm gonna type right now. Basically what this does is it creates the button, the dot, the text in it, and the arrow. So it translates by default. When the page loads, it translates the icon to be hidden and it makes the button to be small. And when you hover on it, it scales the button by 24 and it translates it in 3D perspective. So you can easily see the transition. And also for the icon, it translates it into view where users can see it. Well, it's not displaying currently. I'm just gonna change the text. I'm just gonna change the stroke to be black. So we wanna open up another dev elements. I'll give it a class name of flex gap 6. Inside of the dev, we'll have another dev which will have a class name. Then we'll have our h2, which is going to contain our heading. Then we have another div which is going to contain our side, our rounded, I don't know what to call it. So this will just be the element you see on the screen displayed by the text with us. So inside of it, you have a div, and you have a span, which is just going to say welcome, and you have your SVG icon. And you give it the class name to style it, and you have a paragraph below, so you can make it full screen. At the moment, you just want to remove it from being full screen, a full H-full. So it's gonna flex, it's gonna contain the whole space. Yeah. So you want to open another div, which is gonna be absolute, which is going to have our background image, and you can use any image if you like. I'll give it the class name of full H-full, W-full, object cover. So I can transition in this group. This group means it's gonna, when I hover on the parent group, it's gonna scale, or it's gonna do any animation I set it to do. In this case, it is going to scale it by 10% or so, and add the transition to it, and we'll have our duration. And we can reduce the background so it can come out well. After that, I wanna start creating our bento grid, or have a grid that's going to have 530 pixels, and the other shape is going to take the remaining of the width. Or open a div. Inside of the div, we'll have another grid, and this is for the first grid, and this one is just gonna be the row, and it's going to have two rows of 100 pixels each. And inside of it, we want to open another div element. I'll give it our image, which is going to show the teach PNG. You can use any image if you like. So I'll go about writing the class name. Okay, you want to increase the pixels for the rows so it can have more space and it can display better, which I'm going to do right now. Okay. Then you have another div which is going to be of column 2. Then we have the elements, the two elements that displays the text. 130 So you want to create your component, a new component file, which you're gonna name number ticker. And here we're gonna create the animation for the numbers to count from 0 to the value we set it. At the top level of my file, so I'll write use client so I can actually use client components in this file. Then I'm going to create interface number ticker props, which is gonna have a value of number, a start value of number, direction up or down, delay of number optional, decimal places number, and class name string. Then I'm just gonna make them optional except the value. Then you want to create your component number ticker. Then you pass the props. I'm just gonna accept all the props. Then you want to return a span that have the start value, and we use Gsap to animate the start value. Go into your page CSS, wrap the first one with a value of 137 and also the second one with 12,000 so we can animate it. So we'll use ref to select our elements. Once we have our element selected, okay, the class name. Then we import Gsap, use Gsap. If ref current is not true, then we just return. We don't want to do anything. But if it's true, we want to animate it to So I'm just gonna type the animation and explain what they do. So here is what the animation does. Gsap 2, it targets this element we've passed in, and it's gonna run this animation for 1 second. The delay we passed in, the easing we passed in, the text content is gonna change the value as we animate. As once we refresh our page, it starts counting, and on update we run the function to update the text content until it reaches the maximum number that we passed. And of course, we want to import Gsap. I'm just gonna change the background to be black and probably black 80. So we want to close that and open the next element for us to have our next grid. And we're gonna open a div which is gonna contain our editing text. Make it position absolute. So I have the SDG in the description below, and I'll just paste it here for mine. You can also paste it for yours also. And I'm gonna animate it with Gsap, so rotate 360. I'll give it a class name. So I'll import Gsap from Gsap and use Gsap to create the animation. So Gsap to get the text, rotating text. I want to make it rotate for 7 seconds using none. I want to repeat it infinitely. That is why we use -1. We don't want to, we give a delay of 2. So when you load the page, it waits a little bit, then it starts rotating. I want to rotate it 360. And if we look at it now, it's not rotating on the center. Its origin is not from the center. But what we want to do is add transform origin to be 50-50. 50% from X, 50% from Y, which is going to center it. And you can just register your Gsap plugin and pass in your use Gsap. And if you hit refresh, you have your rotating text. Next, we want to create the next element, which is the yellow grid. We'll give it a class name. Inside of it, we'll have another element, which is going to be flex1. We'll have a tag, which will give class name. And when we hover on it, it changes the background and we'll add transition to make it smooth. So next, we'll have our flexible elements. I'll give it a class name, scale the button, scale the text. Next, we have our separator, which is just gonna do like that with a class name. And below it, we have a paragraph, which we're gonna give the class name to scale the text of 2XL. Then next, we want to have a icon, which I'm just gonna copy and paste. You can use any icon if you want, and if you want to copy from the one I'm using, you can get it in the description below. So next up is for us to create the Bluffed CSS, and this is the element, this is the component that we use to create the blur effect and the fade-in effect. So RFCE is going to create a basic component, and you change it to Buffett. Make sure it's use client. Import Gsap from Gsap. Then you can use Gsap. So we can use Gsap. Then we want to get our elements. We'll use useRef to target our elements from the DOM, which is going to be of the type dev element or null. Once we get that, we can open our Gsap hook and write our Gsap animation. But first, we want to declare interface props, which is gonna have a class name of children, which is gonna be a type React node, which will have a class name. This is gonna be optional string, duration, number, the number, offset is gonna be number also, direction is gonna be up or down or left or right. In view, boolean, can view margin, string, block is gonna be a string also. And I'm just gonna accept all the props and set some to be default. Those ones that are optional, I'll make them default. So if the user doesn't pass anything in it, they're just gonna use the default value. Then I want to target the ref, get the elements. Once I have the elements, I want to check if the element is true. If it's not true, then I want to return. I don't want to do anything. But when the element is true, I want to use Gsap to animate it from a value to another value. So I'll use from to method. I'll get the current element. I'll just import Gsap. Seems like it didn't automatically import for me. So I import and I'm just gonna write the code. So animate it from to. So first, I want to make the opacity to be 0, to be filter to be blur, and the direction, if the direction is equal to left or equal to right, then we want to translate. We want to change the x direction, x position, more of translate x or translate y. If that is not true, then you translate y. Then we'll take our direction. If direction equals to right or equals down, then we want to translate negative offset, not positive offset, sorry. And if it's not true, we want to translate offset. So what this is gonna do is when the direction is right or down, it is gonna translate in the opposite direction of the offset we've set. So our to value is gonna be an object, which it is gonna be of opacity of 1, blur of 0 pixels, blur of 0 pixels, direction. If direction equals left or equal right, then we want to translate x just like we did previously to be 0, duration to be duration, delay to be delay, and easing. I made a little mistake here. The easing should be ease out, not is elastic in out. Sorry, that was my mistake. Then we want to pass in the children, and we want this Gsap animation to run every time any of the value changes. Then we'll pass in our class name. I'll pass in the rest of our props. So we want to go into our page, the TSX, and start adding the blur fade to our element, which I'm gonna start by adding it to our logo. So I was trying to fix the bug during the video, but nevertheless I figured it out and I've corrected you so you don't make the same mistake I made. So I'm just gonna add the blur fade to all of my components, which I'm gonna do pretty fast now. You can add the direction you want, and that's basically it. And we have our final animation. If you enjoyed this video, I'll really appreciate if you subscribe and if you give it a thumbs up so others can see it also and probably learn something from it. And if there's something you like me to change concerning the way I do my videos, I'll really appreciate it, and I'm open to correction, and I'll see you in the next one.